I want to make this point absolutely clear that no one, the public should not be left with the conclusion that there is a conclusion today. What we're talking about is just one particular case. This is an ongoing and active police investigation of child sex abuse allegations within the Minneapolis-St. Paul archdiocese and related allegations, and they have not been brought to a conclusion. The police investigation is still very active and ongoing. Secondly, because of that, we cannot provide details or answers to questions beyond what we are prepared to publicly disclose today to the public. And as we have said on numerous occasions, we will only allow the facts to lead the way, and we will pursue justice without fear or favor, while doing our best to leave no stone unturned as a part of our work as law enforcement officials and ministers of justice. Today's announcement of one specific prosecution decision by the Ramsey County Attorney's Office is only the beginning, and there will be more decisions to come as this investigation unfolds. As a part of being transparent with the public, we will provide information as we make those decisions on cases as they are presented for prosecution review. Today is only a part of that process. I also want to remind the public and the media that had we convened an investigative grand jury on this particular issue that I'm going to be talking about, the public information and the accountability that we will provide for you today would have been secret, because Minnesota law strictly prohibits grand jury proceedings and the information being provided to you today from ever being made public. As all of you know, about a year ago, Father Curtis Wehmeyer pled guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in prison related to child sex abuse and possession of child pornography while assigned to the Blessed Sacrament Parish in St. Paul. As a result of new information of how the circumstances of how and when that information came to be known to law enforcement, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office requested that St. Paul Police investigate those facts for the purpose of determining whether any criminal laws related to mandatory reporting were violated. Under Minnesota's mandatory reporting law, which is codified in Minnesota Statute Section 626.556, a person mandated to report who knows or who has reason to believe that a child is sexually abused or has been sexually abused within the preceding 3 years and fails to report is guilty of a gross misdemeanor. The law also provides that that reporting should be done immediately, and that is defined as soon as possible, but no longer than 24 hours. Members of the clergy are subject to the law so long as the information does not come to be known through privileged communication, for example, as a part of confession or spiritual advice. After thorough investigation by St. Paul Police and careful consideration by many prosecutors in my office, we have come to conclude that there is insufficient evidence to prove a violation of that statute beyond a reasonable doubt in this case. It is our belief that a criminal jury would conclude that members of the Archdiocese did not fail to comply with the mandatory reporting law in this case. There is a very detailed declination letter in your packet that has been made available to you and will be made available to the public on our website, and so I would refer you to that. I believe the document speaks for itself. But in summary, the decision to decline this case for criminal prosecution is based upon the facts as they are presented, the applicable law, and the evidentiary issues associated with proving this case in a criminal court, which, as all of you know, is the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. And based upon that law and the information that was gathered and presented by police for prosecution review, we believe that the archdiocese officials reported to police on or before June 20th. We are unable to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a violation of a mandatory reporting law occurred based upon the facts as presented in this case. As I conclude my formal remarks, I want to state the following, which are very important, and I hope this will be included in your reporting. Although today there's no criminal liability for the specific facts as presented here, I continue to be troubled by some of the church's reporting practices that manifest in some of the other cases that are currently under investigation, and in this case as well, to which I cannot speak of or I'm unwilling to elaborate on until I get further information as this investigation continues and unfolds. Elaboration on that point is for another day, and I ask for your patience on that particular point. Secondly, I want to encourage, as has been stated before by St. Paul Police, that if there are any victims out there, that we encourage them to come forward. But more importantly, and this is something very specific, with anybody who has entered into any type of settlement agreement or any type of arrangement with the archdiocese, regardless of how long ago it was, we encourage those individuals to please come forward. And third and finally, I want to reiterate something both Chief Smith and I have been stating for quite some time. To be very clear, we expect all mandated reporters to report instances of child sexual abuse as required by law, but more importantly, to err on the side of victims. The law is the lowest common denominator of acceptable behavior. Mandated reporters should never, ever determine or make conclusions about the law, such as the statute of limitations, or make determinations about the credibility of victims. That is the job of law enforcement, prosecution, and our courts, not private parties. So with that, I'm going to end my formal remarks.